I was always told that starting my speech with a good afternoon would be boring. And so, as I start today, I'd like to say good afternoon, everyone, because it really is a splendid day. At least for me. Because a good 3 years ago, the day wasn't as splendid. In the afternoon of 2023, after an assessment, a person walked up to me with the most condescending, confident face. They went real close and they said, "Hey, you failed, right?" Slide, please. You failed, right? And mind you, at this point in time, I barely knew this person. So imagine my surprise as this basically stranger walks up to me, skips the how'd you do, and goes straight in for a "you failed, right?" The question mark replaced by a full stop, as with such arrogant certainty, my failure was decided right before me. But then, who was I to question it? It's not like I was putting in the extra effort. Not like I was winning awards. In fact, I was barely even worthy of the title intelligent. But was it wrong to feel a sting when someone labels you a failure? I'm no Einstein, but I was decent. I was capable, and I was going to prove it. Me? Failed? Oh, I was furious. And doubt, it appeared, would be a wonderful motivator. It forces you to answer the question, are you actually trying as hard as you say you are? Next slide, please. Today, I will be talking about trust. First, I'd like to start with the fact that those people 3 years ago, they did not trust me. They didn't believe that I could achieve such things. There are people out there who will belittle your hope and your faith in yourself and make you believe that a failure is truly all you're ever going to be. And the worst part is, when others lose trust in you, you slowly start to lose trust in yourself too. This is when you start drowning in the belief that you are never capable of more. This is when you drown in the belief that failure is inevitable and that you do not possess the talent, dedication, or discipline to carry your dreams to the end. This is when you start to lose trust in yourself. And the thing about that is, it's so incredibly funny. Stay with me. I want you to think, just for a minute. Think. How many of you have ever ordered from an online... No. How many of you have ordered food before? Food. I bet you didn't know who cooked it. You just trust that they wouldn't poison your food? How many of you have gone on a plane before? I bet you didn't know the pilot. You just waltzed into this big flying vehicle, thousands of feet up in the air, and trusted them with your life. And even today, you walked in here probably not knowing who I am, not knowing who these, 10 speakers are, and you just trust that we'd have a script prepared for you? What would you do if I just stood here and said nothing? If not all, most of these people are strangers. If you can trust so many strangers every day with no hesitation, then why should you hesitate and think twice to trust yourself? Why would you let yourself be the barrier between you and your success? The only thing in your way is yourself. So why do we do it? Why do we find it so easy to trust these strangers, yet so hard to do the same for ourselves? Well, in the journal Neuron, Campbell Mikojan explains that our brains are literally programmed to do this. When you have a thought about yourself, may it be, I'm capable, I'm strong, I'm smart, and a stranger expresses a different one, saying, no, you're not. Your brain's prefrontal cortex automatically fires off an error signal. This is the same part of your brain that reacts when you make a physical mistake, like tripping on a curb. Because your self-prediction of how people see you isn't the same as how they actually do. Your brain tells you, hey, there's a conflict, because your self-perception isn't aligning with the given data. And to our biology, where we have evolved from our ancestors dating years back, where they were used to being in these groups and in these tribes, it naturally feels much safer to agree with this stranger and be correct about being a failure than it is to be wrong alone. From a survival standpoint, your brain sees social isolation as a bigger threat than low self-esteem. This is why, as you align your thoughts with these strangers' labels, this error signal in your brain stops firing, and you'll feel this immense sense of relief as you're no longer in the state of conflict with your environment. This is why we trust everyone so easily. This is also why I so easily trusted the "you're a failure," even though I didn't think I was. And so now, I was ready. Now I understood why I believed them. I know that them thinking I'm a failure doesn't mean it was true. I had the previous doubt that motivated me. I have the logic, the drive, and the power. So why in the world was I not moving? I mean, I could try harder. I could study more. And when the time is right, I will. As long as I end up doing it, all is well. My dignity is intact and my pride is not lost. Right? When the time is right, I'll prove them wrong. Right? When you say you'll do things when the time is right, this is when you fall into this big pit of thinking you always have time. This is when all the trust that you spent years collecting and compiling for yourself, it all goes to waste. In fact, there's this really interesting study on why we think we always have time. Dr. Hal Hirschfield, put participants into a machine to monitor their brains. They were told to describe 3 people. Stay with me. First, they were told to describe their current self. Second, they were told to describe their future selves. And third, they were told to describe a complete stranger. The results show that a different part of your brain's prefrontal cortex lights up when you think about yourself. When thinking about who we are now, the brain automatically labels this thought as, oh, this is me. When thinking about a stranger, the brain then labels this thought as, oh, this is not me, obviously. And finally, when the participants were told to picture who they were gonna be in the future, their brain reacted almost exactly the same way as it did when they were picturing a complete stranger. And the reason I'm telling you this is because it shows that your brain physically cannot distinguish between your future selves and a complete stranger. This is why we struggle so much with time and discipline, not because we neglect the work, not because we don't know the awards and rewards that come from it, but because we aren't waiting for ourselves to get better. We're waiting for the stranger from the future to show up and do the work for us. This is also why we have such a big tendency to delay, even as we have all this trust compiled. Because this stranger is the one you trust is going to one day show up and do the things you said you're gonna do. This stranger is the one you trust is gonna wake up one day and be all disciplined to prove those people wrong. Not me, not you, the stranger. Sooner or later, you're gonna realize 2 things. First is that stranger from the future is never gonna come. And second is that these doubts, these labels and comments from other people, they will continue to exist until you prove otherwise. And you'll be pushed to understand that they don't subside. You just have to trust that you can do it doubtful and that you can do it afraid. You have to decide to trust yourself enough that you don't even need the stranger to come. Decide to trust yourself so much that it overpowers these doubts and labels. Decide to trust yourself so much that you start moving. Because the truth is, there won't always be time, and there won't always be a tomorrow. The doors you need will open, and the opportunities you want will come, but not until you decide to trust yourself. Not until you truly, sincerely decide. And so, as I end my speech today, I'd like to wish you all a good afternoon, for in this day, I hope you learn to trust yourself again. My name is Nalina. Thank you and good afternoon.